We are live. Well, the homie Melissa Oddessa, Ring IQ's top prospect 2020. She saw yesterday's video. She got a lot to say. She's going to say it. And she's going to curse me out in the process. She's going to do that too. Very exciting times in boxing. Very exciting times. Everything's moving forward with Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Melissa Oddessa. She's about to come on here, curse me out, put me on the hot spot, hold me accountable. You know, fun times. Fun times. I'm just letting everybody on Twitter know. Letting everybody on Twitter know. You know what I'm saying? Gotta let everybody on Twitter know it's going down. About to get cursed out. It is what it is, man, you know? I can see why many people have questions, because after the interview, a lot of people had questions. They had I wore a brand new hoodie. Also, this is one of the new hoodies that I have bought. See that? This is one of the new hoodies that I have bought. So I'm wearing a new hoodie for Melissa Oddessa. I was nervous because I was scared that I was going to get ambushed yesterday. So I was nervous leading up to the interview. So I went over, bought myself a couple of hoodies so I could, calm myself down or whatever. Because I'm like, damn, if I'm gonna get cursed out, I might get cursed out. And if I'm gonna get cursed out, I want to at least look fresh. You know what I'm saying? So at least I look fresh. You don't want to get cursed out in a house hoodie. You know what I mean? But she gonna come on here. She got a lot to say, man. You know, Melissa's a very outspoken fighter, very promising. Like if you've seen her fight, you'll know she's a blue chip prospect. You'll know that. Like, this is a skilled quality operator. She's got a professional record of 3-0. She has a fight coming up. We're going to be talking about that too. But beyond that, you know, she saw the interview and she has some thoughts. She has some things that she would like to communicate. And we're going to give her the opportunity to do so and answer some questions in the process. As far as this whole Wilder situation, isn't it the way I always told y'all? Isn't it the way I always told y'all that, like, yo, dog, like, all that stuff, for all the stuff that's being put out there, if the dude actually had a legal precedence to sue for a breach of contract, if you could actually constitute that in a court of law, forget mediation, arbitration, you would have been took this dude to court. And he never did, right? You never saw him take him to court for assault with a deadly weapon, right? You never saw him take him to court for that either. Have you produced a medical report that indicates you suffered some kind of blunt force trauma to the side of your head that's in keeping with a metal object? None of this is all stuff that you would do. You see what I'm saying? That if what you're saying is true, or if you believe what you're saying, then this is the course of action you would take. But from February 22nd until now, you see what it is. You see what it is. I think I got a message over here. Yeah, I got a message over here. You know what I'm saying? It's going down, B. You know what I'm saying? It's going down. And these are all common sense arguments, you know. I ain't Perry Mason. I ain't Johnny Cochran. These are common sense arguments. You know, I ain't Kardashian or Matlock. It's just, these are common sense arguments. If you feel that somebody, you know, struck you with a blunt force object, or you feel that perhaps you were drugged, what you would have done immediately after, you could go to a lab corp and get a report. Like, you could go to an ER in a hospital and see, you know, what do I got to do to get a toxicology report done? You know, what do I got to do to get my blood tested to see if there's anything in there that perhaps I don't know about? If you feel drugged, that's what you're going to do. If you feel that you were struck with a metal object, anything of the sort, yo, you're going to do something about that too. You see what I'm saying? When Barbie Juarez felt that Yulihan Luna, you know, had struck her with she thought that Yulihan Luna's gloves were loaded. And Yulihan Luna, right after the fight, Yulihan Luna was like, go check my gloves. Go check them. Wilder didn't do that. It seemed like you didn't start formulating none of these opinions and none of this stuff until well after the fight was over. When Barbie, you know, thought that, yo, something ain't right here, she addressed it on the spot. and Yuli Hang Luna addressed it on the spot. They're like, ain't nothing in my gloves. What are you talking about? If you want to go check them, go check them. You know what I'm saying? It's common sense stuff, man. Common sense stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's why all of it is very convenient, but ultimately it's just much ado about nothing. That's what it is. It's much ado about nothing. Because if you really felt in your heart of hearts that this is like what's going on, if you there's certain things that you would have did, and none of that happened. None of that. So here we are on the eve of the biggest heavyweight fight we've seen in years. This is the biggest. Remember, the last biggest fight that the heavyweight division saw, the biggest one, was the Klitschko fight. I would say second to that is the Tyson Fury Wilder rematch. And third, we're talking about in the last 10 years, what big fights have been brought to the division. Neither one of those two fights with Wilder and Fury was bigger than the Klitschko fight. The Klitschko fight was a bigger fight than that globally. Everybody knows that. Even if certain people in America want to be in denial about it, the facts are what the facts are. All right? That's real spit. So we gonna wait. We gonna wait for Melissa. Got a lot of things to say. You know what I'm saying? Got a lot on her mind. She gonna air it out, and we just gonna wait. And like yesterday, look, I ain't trying to be like, oh, you gotta send me this or send me that. I'm saying when I'm conducting an interview, it's different than a regular live session because I gotta focus on who I'm talking to. I gotta focus on them. So my eyes are not to that side of the screen to see what anybody's saying. So if you want to relay a question or anything like that, you send that super chat, and I'll see that because the color is going to change. When you get a super chat, you get like a little color coded message, and then I'll know that like, all right, somebody got a question or something like that. Because I'm gonna be paying attention to the screen. If it's a regular old live, then I could look over there and see what everybody's talking about. But if I'm doing an interview, yeah, I gotta pay attention to the screen. So if you got a question, anything you want to ask, anything you want to say, anything you want highlighted, y'all gonna have to do that because that's how we rocking. We gonna wait for Melissa. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure this should be very entertaining. It's very fun times at Ridgemont High. When you gonna get Bob Arum on? I'm gonna try, but remember, I don't like taking up people's time. This is another thing. My whole point of doing interviews is to cover the stories and cover the fighters that are not otherwise getting covered because the more popular media outlets choose to focus on whatever's hot and whatever's now. And I don't blame them. That's their bread and butter. That's their job. That's what they got to do. So it's not even about castigating anyone. But what I'm saying is the reason that the reason I even do interviews, because I never set out to do interviews, is because there are fighters that are not being covered as regularly as other fighters. There are stories that are not being covered as regularly as other stories. So I want to help normalize things to where these stories are covered as well. These fighters are covered as well, not just by me, but by other channels, other fight fans, anybody interested in doing it, because obviously I can't do it all on my own. You know what I mean? I would like other people to do it too. But that's why I originally even started doing interviews. You know what I mean? Like, why wait? Get the information from the fighter themselves. And maybe I'll see about doing other interviews like that, like a Bob Arum interview. I would reach out. I love to talk to Bob. That dude probably got great boxing stories. Great boxing stories for hours. Alexis would have a heart attack if, bro, I might have a heart attack. I might fan, but it's Bob Arum, bro. That's like boxing history. That's like, yo, like I might, you know what I'm saying? Like that's one of the icons of the sport. The chat always moves mad during an interview anyways. It's for the best. You ain't gonna explain yourself, Joe. Nah. I do because you know what I'm saying. You got to show some consistency. You know what I mean. I understand everybody's inquiries. I understand why somebody might look at that and be like, "Well, hold up." I understand, and we gonna get to that. We gonna get to that. I understand. I completely get it. Because remember, there was a time when people asked me would I ever even go for that interview, and I said I don't know if I would because there's not a lot. There's not a lot that I need to ask about. There's not a lot that I can't, look up myself and I don't already know. Like that's, for example, I would not. I would probably not interview Mauricio Suleiman. Why? Because there's not a lot that he would say that I need to know. I already see what you're doing. I don't even need to ask you about it. I already see what you're doing. I already see why you're doing it. So I don't really got to ask you about that. But for other things, yeah, interview is necessary, not just for answering questions and things like that, but exposure and normalizing the conversation to where it's customary, just as customary as anything else. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, the guys get coverage. They get coverage by way of IFL, by way of Fight Hype and Fight Hub and Behind the Gloves and Sporting Icons, and they get coverage. They do. It's the other fighters that need coverage too. So I'm like, all right, well, there's an avenue there to try to get the sport more exposure. So I'm gonna do that. And we gonna we gonna do what we do. One guy was calling AJ yeah, I seen that dude, man. Like he's bugging out. Like he's legitimately sitting there on Twitter as we speak, making excuses as if somebody took Tyson Fury's belts. It's not that Tyson Fury's a bad fighter, but bro, ain't nobody take your belts. They didn't do nothing to Tyson Fury in 2015 and 2016 that they didn't do to Jermaine Taylor when he gave Bernard Hopkins a rematch. Nobody want to talk about that. Jermaine Taylor was stripped of the IBF title the same way that Tyson Fury was for the exact same reason. Because you went into a rematch with Bernard when you had a mandatory challenger lined up. Coincidentally, that was the situation with Fury and Vlad. We know Vlad had a rematch clause. We know that he exercised it. But we also know that Glaskov was his mandatory challenger by way of the IBF. That's the way it was. The IBF been doing this for a long time. It really ain't nothing new. They've been doing that. But they going to act like, oh, he was victimized. Oh, what about the other two belts that he had? They didn't strip him of those. He chose to vacate them titles. He chose to put the coke in his nose. Ain't nobody put the coke in his nose for him. He chose to do that. Like, acting like he was victimized or something. The stuff that came out of his mouth, if he became a social pariah, it was because of the stuff that came out of his mouth, because of what he said about all those different groups of people. All of that is self-imposed. But if you ask a Fury fan, like, oh, he was treated like he wasn't treated badly, you can't be talking like that. You can feel how you want to feel at your behind closed doors and in your house. You can feel how you want to feel. But when you make public statements, the public is going to react. You know what I'm saying? I think Eddie would be the best guy for you to talk to. You're the guy really pushing. I appreciate that. I'm trying to make it do what it do. There's so many of them. I thought the Twitter purge wasn't Triple G true. Yeah, he was. He was. All right, Melissa's here. She's gonna curse me out. Here we go.
Maybe.
All right, man.
Are you wearing a new hoodie for me?
Legitimately, I am. Like, I literally just pulled it out the bag. I was like, oh shit, Melissa's gonna come on. Thank God. I bought two hoodies. I bought a gray one and this one. I was like, all right, let me get the fresh hoodie. So before I get cursed out, at least my hoodie is clean. All right.
No, I even put on a positive shirt. So I
All right. So what did you think? What was your interpretation of everything?
From the podcast yesterday, one of the things I will say that I did like, I'll start on a positive note. It was nice to see Amanda speak for herself and to see some personality, because you don't get to see that. And it was a little refreshing. But I will say, you behave not to piss her off, because I think she would have hung up on you.
Now, to address that, because that's why we're here. See, me and Amanda spoke before all of this. We spoke before all of this, and she let me know, like, she knows everything that I be saying. That's why a lot of people asked me if I would be willing to interview, and I said I don't know, because I'm not going to change my mind on anything. And I told her that, like, we've already conversed. I'm like, it's not worth it. It's not worth doing an interview if I can't be honest. It's not worth talking about nothing if I can't be honest. So I'm not going to change my opinions on certain things to accommodate anyone. We had this conversation, and we reached sort of a middle ground to where I'm like, look, I'm not gonna keep attacking somebody neither. I like the Marjanovic fight. I like the Mahfoud fight. I've said here on the channel, I've said it many times that like if she can make those fights, or if those fights can happen, I won't complain. Because if I kept complaining after that, all right, now you just then I would be like a dick. Like I would be being a dick, acting like those ain't good fights. No, those are good fights. So if you can, even if they're not as big as the Katie Taylor fight, even if it's not as big as that, those are still good fights. I'll be honest, I don't think that those girls pose the threat to her that Katie does. If I'm being honest. I view Amanda as the apex predator of 126. That means that I favor her to beat most of the girls that are there. Most of them. With a belt, without a belt. But those are still good fights. And in order to grow this, go ahead.
I think one of the things we're seeing now is that a lot of the times, a lot of these pros, when they were up and coming, a lot of fans weren't educated. So they weren't catching on to a lot of the things that these female pros were doing, where they'll go after vacant belts, or when the person won't fight them, they won't find a quality fighter to make a title shot. It was just about, I'm going to grab these titles. I get that it's not your fault if someone vacates, but when you're fighting somebody who you already dropped and stopped for a world title shot, or a world title defense, that's when I have the issues, because she's not the only one. So I attack everybody. It's nothing against her. I really don't care. I like the weight class. I like the division. It's not really exciting right now. So I'm hoping maybe more excitement can come with her entering. And that's why I like the interview. And I hope that she starts doing more interviews and things on her own and speaking more for herself, because I think it worked in her favor. But people have to realize, fighters need to realize that the fans are educated now. So you're not going to get away with the stuff you did. Don't call yourself a KO artist. Don't call yourself a true champion when you're going after vacant titles, and then you're not even going against people who are quality fighters, because anybody could fight someone who isn't that good and look great. If I wanted to, there's so many vacant belts that I could be chasing. But I'm over here going out my way because I want to be a true champion. I want people to look at me and go, yeah, she earned her belt. And if the time comes where I have to fight for a vacant belt, I want them to look at me and say, yo, even though she fought for a vacant belt, she found a worthy opponent who's actually going to give her, who's going to answer the call. I'm not going to fight people who don't leave the corner. I'm not going to fight people who leave their hands down and just take the shots. So I think women's boxing is starting to evolve, and both the fans and the fighters themselves are realizing what they do and what they can and can't get away with.
Yeah, because I did two segments on you, and I'm becoming a big fan of you, by the way.
Thank you.
You called out Yuli Hangluna, and anybody that's keeping up knows that's big fish stuff. Yuli Hangluna's a big fish. She beat the hell out of Bobby Juarez. You called out Daniela Bermudez. Now she's the IBF in 122, but she's also the WBO at 118. She's literally holding two world titles in two different divisions.
And we need to talk about that, because I'm frustrated with both.
Yeah.
So Luna didn't fight me because she has a mandatory with Barbie. And okay. I'm like, how is Barbie a mandatory when it was a one-sided fight? Nobody want to see that shit again. Like, honestly, as the rounds went on, like, nothing against Barbie. She's fought some tough girls, but I think she's at the end of the road for her career. And I don't want to see it. Why aren't you fighting someone who's ranked? Why aren't you fighting someone who also has another title and try to unify? Instead, you're in the works and denying, because we actually went for it and they denied us. And they said she has a mandatory. So we did a little digging, come to find out it's because she's in the works for a rematch with Barbie. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Why not let us fight? And then she gets to fight the winner. Of course, it'll be me, but they don't want to do it that way. Then you have chicks who have two belts in different divisions, and they don't know if they want to go up or they want to stay, because we went after another girl and she's talking from Denmark. She's talking about going up in weight class, but you holding on to the belt.
Is it Nina Thorsland?
Um, the one who just she has a belt at 118, and then she just got a belt at 122. But she's talking about going up to 126 now. Dina Dorslin or
Yeah,
something.
Dina Thorslin. Dina Thorslin.
So they're not requiring her to give up her belt. They're allowing her to hold on to the belt till she makes a decision. That's crazy. I don't understand how they can be so strict and tell me, well, you haven't done enough. You don't have enough fights. We're not going to give you a world title shot. But you're going to let these chicks fight for all these different titles in different weight classes and not even defend. And then you wonder why women's boxing isn't doing so well.
I'll tell you why they do it. See, with Dina, and just any of these other girls that actually have a title, their logic, the hierarchy of thought that they have is, oh well, this is a fighter that is going to bring me sanctioning fees. So I won't. So even if it is unethical to allow them to hold on to this title when they should be making a decision, they will let them because they just want the sanctioning fees. That's the lifeblood of the alphabets, the sanctioning fees. That is how they sustain. So they'll say, like I've seen, like, for example, who was it? They had, like, not for nothing, I think it was Amanda. But I've seen this before, and the logic is it's really the sanctioning body that you have to blame, because it's the sanctioning body that's supposed to give the sport its structure. It's supposed to give it its pecking order. Y ellos lo que hacen, you speak Spanish?
Sí, yo hablo español. Lo entiendo más te lo hablo.
No, all right. Ellos lo que hacen, ellos hacen favoring. Those are favors. Like, oh, yeah, we'll let you hold it even though we shouldn't, because at least you bring a sanctioning fees. And a fighter that maybe doesn't have a big time promoter, that they're in the beginning, ellos no le dan prioridad because, well, we ain't getting no sanctioning fees from you. We getting sanctioning fees from her. So si ella quiere hacer esto, está bien, a lo que tú quieras. Now, I'm gonna say I don't blame Yuli Hang for that situation. I blame the WBC. I blame them.
The sanctioning body, like, they're giving us such a hard time. You know that I just had to send my credentials of why I should be allowed to fight the opponent I'm going to be fighting on February 20th. And it looks like it's going to get approved because she said yes, her team said yes, we said yes, my team said yes. We have the contract ready to sign, but we're literally waiting for the sanctioning body to say, you know what? Okay, we're going to let you fight. And I'm like, who else is going to fight her? So what are we doing that it's taking so long to approve it? Because I can't even promote my fight. Mm-hmm. But hopefully by tomorrow, I can announce that I will be fighting for the IBF title against Maria Roman on February 20th in Oddessa.
Get out of here. Maria Cecilia Roman.
Yes.
Wow. That's yo. That's what's up, man.
I'm excited. It was really important to me that I stood behind what I said. And I appreciate my team so much because, man, let me tell you, first off, we need a better system for getting in touch with promoters and managers. I wish there was a database that you could put your info in, and when you want to try to match up, you can go in there, kind of like BoxRec when you could look up someone's record, but a way to contact them, because it took us so long to get in touch with her. And then trying to go back and forth and figure things out. With the holidays, that put things a little, further back. But it's so hard to get in touch with women who are across the seas in other countries and make it happen.
I would say, to your point, I believe that's because that's, as far as a site exclusive to fighters, managers, promoters, and sanctioning bodies, those should be the only people that I feel have access to a database like that, a site like that. It should be like a Rolodex for fighters and a Rolodex for promoters. They're like, oh, bueno, I want Cecilia Roman's number. All right, you go in the database, you put in your login, because you don't want everybody having access to this information.
Exactly.
And you go in the login, and then you see, okay, this is her contact information. I'm going to send her a request. I have a fighter. They want to fight your fighter. Are you receptive to this? This is the money, blah, 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 y ahí está. And that would be ideal.
More fee, have someone running it. Hopefully not the sanctioning bodies, because they be tripping. And because they've really just been, I don't understand these matchups. They okay certain things, they don't okay certain things. I'm over here, I feel like I'm going through my own process just to be approved, because I had to show them that I've been boxing almost 20 years. 9-time national champion. I've won ringside 3 times. I made the world team twice. I made the world team for 2016, but I got injured. I've beaten a lot of top girls. I fought against a lot of top girls. My record is 89 and 22. I only took 4 years off because of my injury. So
Mm-hmm.
I think when they see that, they'll be more open to allowing me these fights because I need to become mandatory because they don't want to fight. They want to stay protected. And I don't know if it's the girls or the teams, but that's what's hurting the sport. I believe that unifying and becoming undisputed is the way that women's boxing is going to become more popular because we need to clean things up and stop being all over the place. For instance, Rachel Bell, she's the interim champion for
Yamilet Mercado.
exactly, but now she's scheduled to go down in weight class and fight for the vacant WBA. Like, what are we doing? It's a hot mess.
I agree, porque con eso, that and it's just the belt situation as a whole. It confuses the boxing fan. Like, literally, it confuses them. If I watch, let's say, hypothetically speaking, if Rachel Ball were to, hypothetically, defend the interim status that she has, there's going to be a WBC title there. And people are going to see that, and they're going to assume, is she the WBC champion? No. It's actually her, who also has a belt that looks exactly like hers, and it becomes indistinguishable after that. The WBC silver, if you've ever seen it, it looks just like the regular WBC. The WBA regular, the WBA interim, the WBA gold.
And you have all these variations, but it's for the money. Money talks. But I wish they could realize that more money will come if they help build us up a better way, if we were more organized. And then you have mandatories, and then you'll have girls who have to fight each other to become ranked and work their way towards the people who do have the belt. So I'm hoping that we'll see that change. I think that it's great that people like myself, Clarissa, now Amanda's on board. We're realizing, hey, let's stick to a weight class and stop jumping all over the place and go for these titles and force these girls to fight us. Because until we see elite fighters going against each other and we make it competitive, we're not going to see televised fights. We're not going to see better pay. So you can't blame anyone but yourself if you're not putting in the work. Look at Jessica McCastle. I'm a huge fan of hers. I admire what she does because she's a hustler.
Yeah.
I watched your interview with her, and she said it herself. If you want it, you have to put in the work. Don't blame other people. Don't put it on other people. Don't even blame fighters who don't want it. Figure it out like I did. I've been jumping through hoops, and I've been fighting like hard because I want what I want. I deserve it. So we have to have that mindset for women's boxing,
I agree. See, like with Clarissa, I always give anybody campaigning from 154 to 168, I always give them a pass. Porque esa división, they don't have a lot of girls. So you kind of have to. If you want fights, that's basically saying, look at Savannah Marshall, for example. Savannah Marshall is the current WBO champion at middleweight. But the girl that has all the other belts, Clarissa, she about to do something else. And she's in a different weight class. So if Savannah wants fights, in all likelihood, she'd have to go to 68 for Franchon, go to 68 for Aline Cedar-Ruz, go back down to 154 for, let's say, Raquel Miller or alguien así. So I understand those people in that pocket moving up and down. But if you're campaigning anywhere under 140 pounds, bro, it's fights everywhere. It's fights all over 140. It's fights all over 135. It's fights all over 130, 126, 122, 118, 115. Those divisions got lots of girls in them that could fight. So there's no reason to leave a division and unfinished business because it's not just winning a title. You need to give people something that they're going to remember. Like when Daniela Bermudez fought Bobby Juarez. Bro, she went to Mexico for that fight.
And she won.
The fight was dope, but it's like it's the same backstory that they give the guys, ¿verdad? Ellos no se lo dan a la hembra.
That's
for
true.
example, Showtime, they started trying to, air Clarissa Shields fights. And I always thought, well, it can't just be on Clarissa. It can't. Not just her. You have to build up her opponents. You need a stable. The top ranked stable has a deal with ESPN. The PBC stable has a deal with Fox, with Showtime. Matchroom as a stable has a deal with Sky and DAZN. You're not just looking at one fighter. You're looking at all these different fighters that are there, and that's how you build up the sport. With Clarissa, I saw, okay, well, Showtime's invested in her, but they're not invested in 168. They're not invested in 160. and 150.
Yeah,
Or the Christina Hammer fight, right? It was a great win for Clarissa, but make no mistake, it only got about 300,000 views on Showtime.
that's it. Oh wow.
That's it. A little over, a little over. I'm gonna say a little over 300,000 views, and this is a premium cable network. That was an undisputed title fight. You
Wow.
didn't. They
Because
didn't.
I see now she's going to headline, an all women's pay per view card. And I think it's great that we're having such a good main event, but how much are they promoting it? Nowadays, just posting on social media isn't enough. Who's on the undercard? So that's something I hope changes, is that we start promoting these fights better, because that's part of the problem. When you're fighting and people don't even know you were fighting, that says something about your management team and your PR team.
I don't want to knock Dimitri Salita because I think that he's done what he can given the size of his outfit. It's not a big outfit, it's not like MTK Global. It's not like Matchroom. I feel he's done what he can.
Mm-hmm.
But what I feel who's really half stepping is the networks. It's not the little, like Lou DiBella's been working for the girls for a long time. Dimitri Salita, he's done the best that he can do. There are other promoters out there in the world that they're doing what they can, but ultimately it has to be the networks. It has to be the networks to say, we're not just going to invest in one fighter. No, we have to invest in a division. Por ejemplo, 122. If you invest in 122 or 118 and you pour money into that division, you regularly show those fighters, they're not just going to get to know, por ejemplo, Yamil F. Mercado. No, you know the other champions that are there. So if one day they're about to fight, you know the both of them. And then you know it's a good fight. Why? Because you know the both of them. But if you only know one of them, the way it was with Clarissa and Christina, well, that's not gonna. Eso no va a coger la gente así. It's not like they need to know these are good fighters, and the only way you can do that is to give them exposure.
Yeah, and we need step up. Déjame decirte algo. One of the problems I am going to stick by and I'm going to be hard on is these promoters. I get it. Women's boxing is kind of new as far as popularity, but you got to sign us. You got to add us to your stable, and don't just pick one female, who's well known. Pick a few females. Have enough where you have a few in each weight class, where now you can start putting these fights together, because we're fending for ourselves and we're trying, but promoters don't want to sign us. And if you look at when we do fight, it's exciting when we
It
have
is.
matchups. So they're going to have to be willing to take a little bit of a loss until we can get these fights and promote ourselves. Whenever you build anything, you're not going to make, a profit right off the back. So you have to be willing to put that investment into it. So I'm hoping that improves also.
What
Because I've
needs
already been denied by a few promotions. And I'm like, really? Okay. What else do I have to do? And they're like, well, keep fighting and show us more. And I'm like, okay, I only have 3 fights, so I can't argue that. But what about this other chick who's now 7-0, 12-0? What's your reason for not signing her? Sign her and then match us up. And they're not even doing that.
the reason that they don't, honestly, is because boxing is run, not just boxing. Boxing and TV networks are run by antiquated people, antiquated fossils, viejito, that ellos no tienen imagination. I know, like, if it was me, I know exactly what demographic I would be targeting to sell the sport. It's not just guys like myself that are already boxing fans. Forget about guys like me. You need the Oprah Winfrey crowd, the fit girl crowd. If you are on Instagram right now, there is a movement of girls who are athletic and strong and go to the gym and they do dumbbell curls and squats y toda la vaina. If you can find a way to tap into that market, you bring an entirely new revenue stream into the sport of boxing that wasn't even there. Forget about the boxing fans that are already there. The hardcore fan is useless. You already have that money. You need more money. You need a different set of eyes. That's the fit girl crowd, the Oprah Winfrey crowd, the moms, the sisters. Because once you get the girls involved, a lot of people don't realize, why is Anthony Joshua such a big draw? Because he doesn't just have a bunch of guy fans. He has, low key, he got the girls. The ladies like him. That's where that comes from.
You know what I don't see much of anymore? Promotional tours.
No, they don't even do them.
And I don't understand. I think it's a big thing, because a lot of people are home now. A lot of people on their phones. They're catching up with these shows. They're catching highlights. Even if they don't watch it live, they're seeing it at another time. So if you're a world champion, how come you're not getting yourself out there to talk about these things and get on these, daily shows that are out there being seen? And I miss that. It used to be fun. You see someone on the show, they do their segment, you get to know a little bit more about them, and you don't really see any of that anymore.
I would say that falls on. I would say, look, doing the rounds, right? Like you're gonna do the Conan O'Brien show, the Jimmy Kimmel show. You might do a daytime talk show, things like that. I believe that at some level it falls on the management team and the promoters, but on another level it also falls on the fighter. That you have to have the personality. Like I love Terrence Crawford. He's one of my favorite fighters right now, but he has the personality of a tub of mayonnaise. Like he did the Breakfast Club, right, with Charlemagne and whatchamacallit. And I'm watching it. I'm like, yo, dog, like this is wild boring.
No way, for real. I'm shocked because I think that it takes beef to bring personality out of him. Because then he'd be like, nah. But then when he is talking, he is kind of monotone.
Yeah, like and the thing is, I can see that he's a guy, right? That maybe I don't know, maybe he don't like the cameras, because if you see him talk, like when he was doing the thing with Errol and they was going back and forth, his personality came out, and you see that now. This is a funny dude. He tell funny. He got jokes and all of that. And that's what you got to bring out. They're like, yo, you got to get people to like you. You got to get people to want to see your fight and want to see you and root for you. So your personality got to come out. He went on a Breakfast Club, and it's on YouTube. You can look it up. And it's real just monotone, and he chilling. And he says some stuff that I agree with. They're like, well, you shouldn't have to be the bad guy to sell a fight. I agree with that. You don't have to be the bad guy. You don't. But you got to, your personality got to come out. Like look at Muhammad Ali. The Louisville Lip changed the game because he let his personality come out at a time when you didn't see a lot of personality from fighters. He changed the game. They're like, yeah, I talk, I'm pretty, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the greatest in the world. He changed the game with that. That's the point of reference that every fighter should have. They're like, yeah, I'm going to show you who I am. I might not be like Muhammad Ali, but, I'm going to show you who I am.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing is fighters aren't putting much thought and time into how they want to be viewed and how they want to come off. I don't think it makes you fake if you're thinking of things that you can say, because we're repeating a lot of the same information. You can't change your fight date. You can't change your opponent. You can't change how boxing. So you got to be creative with how you deliver it. And I hope that more boxers will take the time to build themselves up and learn how to be that way. Muhammad Ali was great. But a lot of that stuff, he didn't just come off the top of the dome on the spot. He saved it and he waited for the right moment to do it. And that's what made him so amazing. So I'm working on that myself because I know I'm full of personality, but I know that my timing is everything and how I deliver it is everything. So I'm making sure if I talk to you, I want to be alive and I don't want to just be like, yeah, I'm fighting February 20th and it's no, put something into it. Think of something you can say, because I'm watching podcasts, I'm watching shows, I'm catching highlights, and you better believe I'm waiting for someone to say something stupid so I could be like, did you really just say that? Like, I'm not going to name the female boxer who said it because I've been getting on her a lot. But she was like, we're both hard hitters, so we're going to go in there and whoever hits each other first, we'll see who gets the knockout. And I'm like, did you just say that? Like, you stupid. Like, who does that? What's the point of being training? Just go crazy on a bag and then go fight.
I saw your post-fight interview after that girl, and that was a beautiful knockout. Toriano Johnson did the post-fight interview for your last fight, and it was a lot of personality, and I think that's what every fighter, not just the girls, but the guys as well, because there's guys that they have the personality of oatmeal. They're like, bro, like, act like you care, bro, because if you acting like that, that's the energy you giving off to the fan. They're like, oh, all right, you want to fight. And you want to have a fight. I saw your interview and I did a little segment on it. It was wild personality in it though. Like it was mad like yeah, like that's how I gotta be. Like, yo, anybody want to fight? We can fight. That's what you want to hear as a boxing fan, because remember, I'm a consumer. That's what I understand. I'm a consumer and I see what it's like on this side of the sport. That if you want to galvanize people and energize them and get them interested in the fight, this is what needs to happen. I did a video of the back and forth between Clarissa Shields and Layla Ali, right? It's one of the most watched videos I ever did. I think I got like maybe 40,000 views for it or something like that.
Okay.
And that back and forth is what people want to see. They want to see a conflict. It's not just enough, yeah, these two people are going to fight and they're going to fight. There has to be.
You know what? I understand how you will fight in the most brutal sport, and then you want to get on front of the camera something to be like, well, you know, I don't really want to call anybody out, and I don't really want to talk crap because it's not really me. Or, you know, I hope I can get this fight. Please fight me. No, I don't know if I could curse. So fudge
You
that.
could curse. Yeah, my kid is in the other room.
I know what I can do. Like, show some confidence. I don't think that being confident is always arrogant. It's the way you deliver it once again. And some of y'all have it tough because I be watching and y'all ask the questions and it'd be like short answers that aren't open and you can't make it conversational. So I don't know. It's just a lot going on that needs to change, I guess, and we need to become more aware of.
Yeah, because I tried to like when I had and I don't think she'll think I'm wrong for saying this, but I had Amanda on here yesterday, right? And what I wanted her to do was give me a sound bite that is gonna pick up something that people are gonna hear like, oh shit, like something that Larry Holmes would have said. Like, you remember Larry Holmes, the Eastern Assassin? This is a dude that he was in a street fight with Trevor Burbick. Like, it's immortalized on YouTube. He jumped across a car and leg dropped this man. That is what's missing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was wild. It was a melee. But that's what's missing from boxing. And like, yo, believe in yourself. Say it. I'm going to fuck you up, yo. I'm going to beat the shit out of you, yo.
Yeah.
Believe
Don't
it.
be like, oh, she might knock me out, but I may knock her out also. Like, you're a professional. No, I've been working on this. I'm telling you, look out for that hook because she ain't going to catch me. You know, like, so I get it because I saw that too. And I was just like, oh, here we go. You know? I'm not going to lie. At one point, I walked away from my phone and stopped listening because it was so dry. Like, but I don't know. I would really like to see more excitement in the sport. I think that people are afraid of the lashback and people clapping back at them, but that's what you want. Whether people are talking good or bad about you, you want people talking about you. You know you made it when you have people who love you or hate you, but you don't want people in between.
And that's why, low key, I love like Michaela. Cause she knows, man. Ella sabe que like, yo, I gotta talk my shit. If I'm gonna sell this fight, then I got to talk my shit. If I don't talk my shit, then who's gonna watch this fight? If I go over here complimenting her, being like, well, yeah, you know, she's a great fighter, man. I really hope I get to fight her one day. She's great. Ain't nobody interested in that. She gets those people in the United Kingdom so mad with the shit she be saying. She's like, see, that's a European jab. That's that European jab. That's that UK jab. I was like, yo, she fucking with y'all. Like, y'all don't even realize it. She fucking with y'all, yo. She playing with y'all. She trying to get y'all mad. But that's what you have to do.
Yeah, like even Terry Harper. She's not the most like personality-wise, but she has her moment and she keeps it real. And she's like, I like before the interview, I didn't know much about her. And I even talked smack about her because I saw her fight against who's the British chick, I think.
Natasha Jonas?
Yeah, and I was like, man, I will both their ass. Like, I don't even have training camp after that showing. It was two people who don't fight that well, giving it their best. Like, I'll move up.
Oh shit! But this is what. See now, for example, I'm gonna take that if I decided I'm actually not gonna do that because I know you campaign at 122, 118. But for example,
Yeah, if I took no trouble. I ain't ready for 130 yet.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm not gonna do that. But el ejemplo, if I took that soundbite right now, I edited it, I posted it on Twitter, and I said, yo, this is what Melissa Oddessa has to say to Natasha Jonas and Terry Harper. The UK fans immediately are going to gravitate towards, like, who the fuck she thinks she is talking that shit. And then before you know it, you have a market. You have a market for the fight.
I said something about Natasha Jonas, right? Is it Jones?
Jonas,
right? So I did a little thing in my stories when they have fought. and somebody from over there was like, "Who is you to talk that way? Who?" And I'm like, "Your mama, that's who." Like, don't come for me.
But that's what has to happen. That like, look, and what I wanted Amanda to say, right? Paint Jelena in a corner. For example, if you see, and I don't know that Jelena wants to fight or doesn't want to fight. I don't know. I'm not going to castigate her. Pero lo que yo estoy diciendo es, si tú le dices a ella, mira, yo te voy a noquear. You putting her in a situation where either she has to say, no, you're not, or yes, you are. You see what I mean? You got to put her in a corner to where you have to respond. You're going to take this lying down, unified featherweight champion. You're going to let her talk to you like that? That's the kind of sound bites that guys like myself look for, because those are the sound bites that build the fight, that get the videos watched, that get the fight talked about. That's what has to happen. But if everybody's going to be nice to each other, like, oh, I like Melissa Oddessa, she's really nice, that's not going to sell the fight.
Most definitely. But it's cool because, you know, when you get the interaction with people, it's a great feeling, because now you know that people are paying attention. So for me, even if I have people coming at me, I will sometimes be playful, or depending on what mood you catch me in, I might come for you. But that's what you need. It's all about the interaction. We really need that between the fan base and the casual watcher, all levels to the actual fighter. And then another thing, look, boxers, stop having your management, your team speak for you. Speak for yourself. You know, I got together like Terry did, because she still talked. But there's a lot of fighters I watch now, and they don't even really get word in. And I'm like, no wonder nobody want to watch you fight.
And the other thing is that's very important, because if I say that I'm gonna have Melissa Oddessa on, for example, and people want to see Melissa Oddessa and hear from Melissa Oddessa, that does not mean Melissa Odessa's manager, Melissa Odessa's trainer. No, deja que la tipa habla, because that's who the fight fans are here for. They're here for the fighter. Yeah, everybody loves the coaches and loves the trainers and the Eddie Reynosos of the world, pero ellos no están viendo la entrevista to hear from him. Ellos quieren oír al Canelo. They want to hear what El Canelo has to say. So I think every fighter should take a page out of the WWE. As funny as that might sound, but you have to be over the top sometimes to sell a fight. You have to be, because if you're not interested, why would the fight fans be interested?
Even though this isn't just a sport for us, it's a lifestyle, it's something we take seriously, we're still entertainers. If you're going to be on television, if you're going to be seen, you have to be able to entertain. So I definitely would like to see that happen, because there are some fighters out there. I remember, you know, back in the 80s and the early 90s, like the boxers, you know, the male boxers, they were entertaining. But like, you watch them go back and forth. Another thing I would like to see is start having these opponents get together and do interviews, or have a panel, or do pre-fight conferences like they used to. I know I want to see that. I think that's part of the reason MMA is doing so well. They market the crap out of their fights. You're seeing them do all types of conferences and shows and appearances, and you're getting to know that fighter. You get to see how they feel about this fight, and then you're more like, damn, I want to see if they're really gonna do that. That's one of the reasons Honor blew up the way he did. He wasn't always the greatest fighter. Masvidal, he was one of the most boring fighters ever. But he's a superstar because he knows how to shine and entertain you, be able to draw you in. If you don't draw the person in, you're going to lose them.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna say that I think that all the fighters, they probably have a mutual respect for each other, y por eso es que algunas veces no se faltan ese respeto. So they don't say a lot of things that they don't mean. But you, just like you just said, you have to remember, this is the entertainment industry. This is show business. You have to sell charismatic characters. Sometimes you have to say something or do something that, you know, maybe you don't mean. Maybe in your heart you respect your opponent. But to sell this fight, yo, fuck you, yo. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. I don't care about that shit. Fuck your belt. Fuck you. You might have to do that. Why? Because that's what's going to sell the fight. And if you don't do that, if I just tell you, oh, well, there's going to be two fighters fighting and there may or may not be a belt on the line, nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit. If you tell them, yo, watch this shit, and the motherfucker said this, that, and the other, all right, now it's a story. Now it's like, ooh, I want to see that fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the build-up.
Yeah, because that's everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's, to me, that is what's missing from the boxing that I grew up with. And now, see, like Errol and Terrence, they have a story. Joshua and Fury, they have a story. But apart from them, Teofimo and Loma had a story. Pero ya se acabó. We saw the fight. Ya se acabó. You need, it can't just be on 2 or 3 guys or 2 or 4 guys to carry the sport. Every division needs those charismatic characters. Every division needs those stories. Like, yeah, I'm coming, fuck him up, dog. I'm fuck you up, dog. And you got to do that. You might not even really mean it. You might want to give him more respect than that. Like, I noticed the Klitschko brothers. They never talk shit, and that's why people thought they were boring. They were great fighters, amazing.
Talk?
They never talk. Like, they didn't talk no shit. Like, even like they asked Vladimir. I remember an interview. It was conducted by True School Sports. Shout out to True School Sports. He conducted an interview with Vladimir where they had asked him about Wilder's quality of competition, and he shitted on Wilder, right? But in a very polite way. Like, he needs to fight better people. Why don't you just say, yo, man, he ain't fighting fucking nobody? If you'd have said that, it would have got attention. But because you said it the way that you said it, it never got off the ground. If you want to sell the fight, you have to say things that, yeah, yo, it's gutsy, but it'll sell the fight.
There's got to be substance. That's part of the problem with women's boxing. They're jumping all over the place so much that you can't even build your own storyline. When you're going from 122 to 118 and then jumping up to 126, what are you building up exactly?
Verdad.
So that's part of the reason why we need to stick to divisions, because I fought at 122 for the NABF. Let me tell you, that whole weight division's tied up. I can't get my foot in the door for nothing. So what I got to do? I now got to look stupid and go down to 118, and everyone's like, but I thought you were going after 122. I was, but I'm a world-class athlete. I'm a top-level fighter. I'm not interested in these other girls. I want a belt. So now I got to go down to 118. But let me tell you, I'm going to become a mandatory, and I'm going to call everybody out, and I'm going to build myself up so that people can see, okay, she has a plan that she's sticking to. If you're jumping all over the place, what are you going to say to the people? You don't have anything to it. You're just grabbing whatever you can. So it's got to be better organized.
I agree. Like 122 and 118 are honestly underrated divisions in the sport. My son is over here trying to get on the camera. Come here, man. Come here. Say hi.
Hi, Papi.
What do you want, man? Go tell Sophie to give you a bag of chips. Okay, go. Okay, go tell Sophie to give you the animal crackers.
And some juice.
And some, yeah, you just eat wilding. But yeah, 118, 122, these are divisions that have a lot of fighters. I'm pretty sure Ebony Bridges campaigns there, Rachel Ball campaigns there, Shannon Courtenay, Yamileth Medic, like anywhere from 122 to 118. These are divisions where it's mad fights they have.
It's stacked.
It's stacked.
And you got girls from, there's this up and coming chick that's 7-0 to girls that are like 19 and 4. I was looking them up because I actually did go after these girls when we were looking at going for the vacant belt. I looked up who's ranked and who's been around for a while, and we had the same problem with them. They're like, I'm not fighting you, and I'm like, what? Are you a fighter or are you a chump? Like, choose one. Go into ballet or something if you don't want to step up. And then you're getting a title opportunity and you don't want to take it because you don't want to be that person that takes a L. So,
wow, man. I want to know who you talking about. That's what I want to know. Who are you talking about?
I tell you what, after I win my title, I'm putting them all on blast. How about that?
All right. We ain't gonna put nobody in the hot seat. But...
Let me tell you, I'll be pissing people off.
You know what I'm saying? Ricky has a question. Who are your favorite male fighters right now, Melissa?
I like Terrence Crawford. His style, what he's doing, Errol Spence, now that he's back, and the fact that he's stepping up and he ain't afraid to, go after, people. Of course, Canelo. And I don't really watch a lot of male fighting, so I don't know a lot of the names, but when I see them, I know who they are. but I like a lot of the heavier divisions. But I've been watching like Ryan Garcia and some of the lighter ones because that weight class is becoming exciting and they're
Yeah.
knocking each other out. I was like, yo, I didn't know that they packed power like that and they moving and they fighting in the pocket. It's
Te
exciting.
voy a decir, depende de lo que te gusta ver en una pelea. Si a ti te gusta ver muchísimo puño, ¿verdad? Mucha acción y mucho puño, then you watch ese hombre pequeñito. Si tú quieres ver, big classic knockouts, después tú te vas para el peso completo, heavyweight division. So it all depends on what you want to see from a fight. Like there's a fight, Josh Warrington. He's from the UK. He's an action guy. If you want to see a guy that throws a lot of punches, mucho puño, mucha acción, you'd watch Josh Warrington. Campaigns at 126. Ahora, si tú quieres ver un clean knockout, okay, el Anthony Joshua, el Deontay Wilder, ese hombre grandísimo. It all depends on what you like to watch. What I like about 126, 135 is it's a fight. It's not just one way. It's a fight. There's back and forth. Como Ryan Garcia's last fight. You see, he got dropped. In his last fight.
But came back strong. That body shot. Ooh,
that's
that was
what I'm saying, and that's why it's dope because there was seesaw.
And then did you hear what he said on his on the podcast with Mike Tyson, where he was like, "Look, I'm telling you right now, your legacy forever tarnished if you don't fight me. Everybody's gonna remember that." I was like, boy, like stepping up and talking his smack, and he's not being disrespectful. He's not cursing nobody out. So there's ways to deliver your message, and I thought that the way he did it was epic. I was like, damn, like now I want to watch this fight. Now I want to tweet about it. Yo, Javante, you gonna let him talk to you like this?
That's what I'm saying. They're like, yo, when you be like, yo, dog, if you don't fight me, everybody's gonna remember that. That's a stain on your legacy. You putting them on the hot seat. They're like, yo, dog, now you gotta fight him.
And now the fight's happening.
Bueno, vamos a ver, porque
well, that's what they're saying, yeah. But,
ellos están hablando de la pelea, pero si tú conoces este industry, tú sabes que una pelea así no se hace rapidita. Una pelea así grande en este climate doesn't happen quickly. I don't think they'll fight till maybe either the end of the year or early next year because that's a big fight. You need a crowd. You need an audience. You need people's money to be right to buy the pay-per-view if you want to sell it as a pay-per-view, which I don't even know because Ryan fights on his own. Javante fights on Showtime. So who would get the fight? DAZN is not pay-per-view, but Showtime is.
That I wanted to educate myself on also is how you make it work, when it's different promotions putting on a fight, who does the payout? Whose card is it on? How do both get seen when they do that? I'm not really familiar with that.
Well, it depends because vamos a decir que es Melissa Oddessa y otra tipa que maybe la tipa tiene un fan base, ¿verdad? Pero Melissa Oddessa has the bigger fan base. In all likelihood, it will be your people that finance the fight. They will bear the risk of staging the fight because you're the proven draw. You know what I mean? So even if the girl has a fan base of her own and she's bringing that, if you're a bigger draw than her, then your people will bear the financial burden because they can. You're the bigger draw. We know we got it. Melissa Oddessa normally sells X, Y, and Z. So we know that we can bear the financial burden. In the case of Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr., it is a little bit more complex because ellos ponieron a Spence, ¿verdad? En un pay-per-view. Y nada más vendió como 250 pay-per-view. Eso no es mucho. Eso no es mucho. En un país grande como este, eso no es nada. Y tú sabes que the cable and satellite companies, they take about 40% of whatever comes in. They take about
40%.
It's insane.
Damn.
Por eso es que the pay-per-view model, para mí, just outside looking at, I grew up in the pay-per-view era. I know what I'm talking about. Ese modelo is antiguo. It needs to be done away with. It's bad for boxing. You limit the amount of eyes you can get to watch a fight by focusing on pay-per-views. Streaming is the future.
Man, let me tell you. Like, for instance, my fight's going to be streamed through IFL, through YouTube. It'll be in my bio, so y'all can know how to click and get to it. But streaming really is becoming popular. One of the things I miss, you remember like, HBO After Dark, Showtime Boxing? We don't have a regularly scheduled show for boxing anymore. back then you knew, kind of like you said with WWE, you know, Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown. We don't have that in boxing anymore. So now you're just trying to see when the pay-per-views are coming and see how expensive they are instead of knowing that you can tune on television and watch them. I really miss that. And I hope that we can, you know, find a network that will start bringing it back. And all these up and comings now can duke it out. And now people could follow them and get to know them better because they'll be like, oh, snap, I remember when you were 4-0. Now she's 14-0 fighting or him. So that's one of the things I would like to see.
Leo con eso es que, well, first let me read the super chat. Do you think catch weight bouts between ladies with belts would bring more attention to women's boxing?
That's stupid. No. Whoever asked that question, kick them out the chat. It's pro boxing. This isn't the amateurs. Pick a weight division, drink some confidence juice, and fight in it.
And that's like, I'm not even trying to kiss your ass, right? But that's what I like about you, that you give me definitive answers. Like when I told you about the thing they was talking about knockouts, you said, man, that sounds like something that a girl that can't punch would say. That's the type of shit you gotta say though, to like, yeah, like, man, fuck all that shit. Like, we can knock these bitches out, man. All right, that's what I'm trying to do. What you just said about that, they're like, yo, this is not the amateurs. Pick a division and campaign in it. Conclusive answers, because nobody likes indecisiveness. It doesn't sell fights. You say, yo, if I'm fighting her, then my goal is to fuck her up. That's my goal. That's what I'm here to do. Simple. Catch weights. I don't like catch weights.
Hug them. You're going in the ring to hit them. So I don't get all that passive. It's not even passive aggressive anymore. It's just, you know, being real sweet and modest. And I get people have different personality, but man, this is a brutal sport. Like maybe you got to rethink your sport, but I'm definitely not with catch weights because we're still trying to build up as women in boxing. And the last thing we need is confusing even more people because shit's confusing as it is.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And catch weights. See, the place for catch weights is when you have two very big names, but they're in different divisions, and you need a middle ground, right? And we're not there yet. We're not there where we need to be worrying about catch weights. What we need now is established champions. If we're talking about 122, we don't need to see 4 people. We need to see 1, so that we all know this is the one. This is the champion. Mm-hmm. And right now, there's like 4, I think maybe 3 or 4 there. There's another 4 at 118, another 4 at 115, and it just goes down like that. You need to make it more accessible and easier to understand to the casual observer. Maybe my ass knows who they are, but I watch too much goddamn boxing. The average person ain't me. So you need to make it accessible to the average fan that perhaps doesn't have time to follow the sport that closely.
You know what? Bragging rights belts, like when they had the diamond belt and they fought in Brooklyn for it. I wouldn't mind stuff like that, but he's a world champion, former world champion, or ranked in the top 10, and keep it that way. So now it's exciting fight. So belts are tied up. Shit, let's do, you know, something similar to like the UFC, the bad motherfucker belt.
Don't give Mauricio Suleiman a reason to make another belt, because he will. He will, bro. Like,
you know what? All right. Yeah, that's the thing. Don't talk about catch weights. Now we're gonna have all types of other colors and variations of colors.
Bro, he's gonna have the WBC angry person belt, the WBC good cup of coffee belt, the WBC Domino's Pete. Like, bro, don't give him an excuse to make a belt, because he will.
The WBO, you ain't fighting for shit belt.
like he will. Yeah. So I think we covered all the bases. You didn't actually curse me out, but you know what? Let's fool some people. Say some angry shit that I could put in a sound clip, and then like say you're a fucking idiot.
Yo, stop being so nice, cause you stupid.
There you go.
Speak up. You a fighter. You ain't no chump. And especially if you from New York or the East Coast, don't let me catch you talking that soft shit, cause I might go in your division.
all right. See, I'm gonna use that. Melissa, always a pleasure. Let everybody know when you're fighting.
Everybody, February 20th in Orlando, you can catch me live if you feel like going to Orlando, or you can watch me through IFL streaming site. I will have it on my Instagram, Melissa Oddessa. I will have the link in my bio.
All right, Melissa Oddessa with the Havoc Advisory. Always a pleasure. Ring IQ. That's my son screaming in the background. This is very unprofessional.
And I am off the train.
All right. Well, always a pleasure. Look forward to having you back on. Thank you very much.
Most definitely.
All right.